All right, guys, I'm gonna give you some sauce today. So, the next business idea is basically the switch detector. Okay, so what is the switch detector? Is basically going to Apify, find a scraper that is able to analyze and track websites and what they use. Okay, now let me explain. Let me give you a raw example here from real life. Let's say you had a health insurance, right? And then you decided to cancel that health insurance plan. Now, what's going to happen is that in the next week, you're going to have a lot of health insurance companies that are going to call you and be like, oh, hi, sir, we saw that you canceled your health insurance. Would you like to start with us? We have a better plan. We have better solutions. It's cheaper with us. No, 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 no. Now, the question is not which health insurance you should go to. The question is, how do they know that you canceled your health insurance in the first place? Well, these people have ways and have access to certain private data, which is enabling them to see when someone is canceling their health insurance. Right now, what if you could build a simple website using API arbitrage, like I'm going to show you in 1 second, and then, for example, let's say there's a guy that sells courses online. Okay, there's a guy, he has a YouTube channel, he sells courses online. Now, when you sell courses, you're gonna need to have an email system, right? You're gonna need to use an email software, okay? So the biggest in the industry is MailChimp, okay? You also have Beehive and other competitors. But for the sake of this example, let's use MailChimp, okay? So let's say there's this guy that sells courses, he stops using MailChimp. Well, what if you could build a website, a small website, right? Clean UI, very nice looking website, right? With just one API that literally will cost you maybe a penny to see if somebody is still using MailChimp or if they canceled their membership, right? And let's say you could stack multiple email companies like MailChimp and wrap it into one website with multiple APIs connected to that website, right? Now, basically, with this, you could create an entire business, a SaaS business entirely powered by AI using API arbitrage, right? So basically, the idea here is that you have big websites like BuildWith, which already has that technology available, but the problem is that it is too expensive, right? If we go here on plans, look at this. This is very expensive, guys. Like, this is literally the cheapest version of this website is $300 a month, right? You could do the same job for a penny by just looking at one thing. Because the problem with these kind of websites is that they force you to basically buy a bunch of data, a bunch of feature that you're not going to use, right? Let's say you're selling an email company like we just talked about. Well, the only thing you want to see is if a certain website stopped using their email services. You don't care if they stopped using another service, another product. You don't care about that. All you want to see is that one specific thing. And so you don't want to buy this entire subscription and pay $300 a month, or even crazier, $500, or even crazier than this, $1,000 a month to have access to a bunch of data, which 99% of it you're not going to use, right? And that's where API arbitrage comes in the picture. Okay, that's where the opportunity is here. Okay, so now let me show you real quick why this is an excellent business idea, right? So the number one thing is that with this, you're gonna be able to provide people warm leads, okay? Because the problem with a business like an email software and any business actually is that most people, they always go for cold leads, right? Cold outreach, like they call people, hi, are you interested in that product? No, 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 no. But remember the example that I gave you with the health insurance. If you had canceled your health insurance and there's another health insurance that is calling you, you are now a warm lead because you are in need of a health insurance and they know that. and that's why they're calling you. Well, we're basically putting the same idea here. Okay, so we are providing these customers with warm leads through our API arbitrage, leveraging AI. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna take a look at is basically how technographics works. So essentially, anytime you install something in a website, right, it gets embedded into the code of the website in the HTML, right? Every website publicly broadcasts what tools it uses, okay, in its HTML header and script. When a business swaps platforms, that change is instantly detectable. You just need to watch for it. Okay, so the website installs something, removes it, we see this, we also see this, okay? And then our API will be able to detect this and send an alert to that specific customer that paid for our product. All right, so that's the idea here, guys. So basically, we just talked about BuiltWith. So BuiltWith makes around $14 million per year. They make a bunch of money, but the problem is that they sell too much stuff. Their package is too much. You don't need all that data. That data is actually publicly available, but most people are too lazy. They don't know the ways to look for it. So the idea here for us is to create a business where it becomes very easy to find that data for those people for a fraction of the price. Okay, guys? So basically, same data, 1% of the price. Okay? BuiltWith Pro, the version that I showed you earlier, is $500 a month. What we want to do with a simple API actor, which is an API, right? That's the API that we get from API, which is an API website that I'm going to show you later. Okay, so basically for $7 a month, we can get the same data because we're looking at something much smaller, right? Niche down. Okay, that's the idea here, guys. So basically, the way it would work is essentially you would use a tool like Lovable, a no-code tool, right? So you can build a website, no code, basically vibe coding, okay? And then you would build a nice UI, right? Make it clean, wrap it in a very clean landing page, clean website, right? You want things to look nice. You can also use Cloud Code. You can use Base 44. You can use a lot of different websites. I put Lovable here because that's the most famous example right now. But you could definitely use Cloud Code. You can even use Codex. You can use whatever you want to use. You can use Gemini. It doesn't matter. As long as you can build a clean website with vibe coding, then you're good to go. You can use Stripe for your billing. Probably easy if you're in the US. And then you connect that API scraping API, okay? And you put everything on Suppa-based data. You already know how it goes. All right, guys, so the idea here is to build a SaaS that we are gonna sell credit packs for $50 a month. Okay, so $40 a month, okay? Or you could also do a one shot, right? You could do a one shot. You could do $100 one shot, and they get all their leads that stopped using that specific service. And you could do that. There's different ways you can price this. I'll let you and your imagination take care of this. But yeah, guys, the opportunity is here. It's huge. It's happening right now. Okay, AI is really helping us right now to build new businesses with new ideas and stuff, niching down. There are huge opportunities out there right now. Okay, so the idea here, like I said in my previous video, is unbundling. Okay, you go into what's big, you take a small thing, small niche, you unbundle from it, and then that's how you arbitrage. That's how you're able to practice the arbitrage with an API. Okay, and you wrap it into a clean UI around the raw API. That's how you make money, guys. That's how you make money, and you charge per credit pack, or you can charge a monthly fee. Doesn't matter, as long as you make money and you print. That's it, guys. Let's go. All right, so next I want to show you where you are going to get most of your APIs for this kind of businesses. There's other websites than API, but API is obviously the biggest one. You're going to want to go and type website tech detector. Okay, so let's go here and see what we got. Okay, let me retype this. Let me retype this real quick. See if I put website tag. Okay, so you can use this one. This one is really good. That's the one I actually did a try on earlier. So it's by Mr. Khan, website tech stack scanner. Okay, and this, by the way, is very cheap to use. And this will work for a bunch of other stuff as well. But for the sake of this video, we're only gonna talk about the switch detector, okay? That's the idea of the video here for this type of business that you can easily build. Okay, so let's recap, guys. So what do we do here? We unbundle, okay? We create arbitrage with API, aka API arbitrage, okay? We wrap this in a clean UI. We create a clean website using no-code tools, okay? Using vibe coding, because we're not gonna bother building a whole website out of nowhere. We don't have time for that. Okay, so use Cloud Code, very fast, very easy. All right, and then once the UI is clean, the API is working, now you sell. Okay, you sell. And obviously, we haven't talked about the marketing part of this. That's for another video. Maybe I'm not gonna cover that. I'm just covering the technical parts here. But like any business, any service, you're gonna need to market this, right? So now you could do Meta ads, you could do Google ads. It doesn't really matter at this point. You could start your own YouTube channel around your product. There's millions of ways in which you can market a SaaS like this. Okay. All right, guys. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And also click the link below to grab your PDF playbook so you can learn API arbitrage. Okay, guys, this is the way to make money in 2026. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.